Hi. I wanted to give like an informal check-in and try this out for Substack because I used to make videos more like this on YouTube, and these are the kind of videos I like to watch. Like, I like to hear what people are thinking about, what's inspiring them lately, and what they're working on. So that is what this video is going to be about. What I'm thinking about, what I've been working on lately, and what's inspiring me lately. Right now I'm working on getting ready to teach a workshop in Michigan. It's only an hour and a half workshop, but it's about using drawing as a way to shake up your creative rut. So like to work through creative blocks. And the workshop is themed around constraints and like using constraints or like giving ourselves constraints in order to like challenge us creatively. I find that that's a really good way to break up creative blocks, or like a good way to like warm up is like give yourself a constraint. And one thing that I've seen online that I really like is the 3 material challenge, where you pull 3 random materials and like maybe go out in the field or even just sketching at home. I'll see people use stuff like highlighters, or like highlighters with like charcoal pencil with like a pink Posca marker. You know, like you can really mix it up. And so the class is going to limit materials and also use time as a constraint, and then a specific subject matter exercise as a constraint. But anyway, I wanted to, anytime I teach drawing to adults, like my whole philosophy is that anyone can draw. And to get people to like start to like draw, I find that it is helpful to give them instruction that like is hyper focused, that they can zoom out of and use. And I grew up with these Ed Emberley books. This is a newer edition, and the cover is not as good as it used to be. The cover was so good, and I'm trying to find vintage ones, but they're pretty expensive. I'd love to find the like same style that I grew up with. But Ed Emberley is really great, and he has these drawing books that are like how-to manuals, and he uses shapes to break the drawings down. So anytime I teach drawing, I like to use one of his tutorials as a jumping off point. So I'm going to do the frog, I think, for this class. So because it's a green book, it's like a lot about green things. There's like a lot of Irish imagery, and then frogs and alligators, snakes. So I checked out a couple of the other, because there's a big green coloring book, there's the big purple, big red, big orange, and then there's a thumbprint drawing book. I've just been having a good time looking through books that I grew up with. And also, it's so fun to look at physical media instead of the computer. I love paging through books to get inspired, and I like to keep them around the studio to inspire me. I'll show you what I have here. This is a book I've been carrying around with me forever. How to Read Greek Faces. It goes piece by piece through Greek vessels and talks about each one and what formal and conceptual choices the maker made. It starts out in 2300 BC with this piece, and then the last piece, this one, which is the second half of the 3rd century. So it's like 5,000 years of pottery. It's actually kind of crazy to think about. I really like the simple illustrations. I really like Greek pottery. I probably should talk about that a little bit broader, but maybe I'll do a video about that. I'm really inspired by these vases. I just love drawings on pots. That's like my whole thing. Look how elegant that is. So yeah, that's not something I've been thinking about lately, but it's just something I think about all the time, is Greek pottery. Okay, I also got this book about Henry Varnum Poor. Another one of my interests are artist houses, like not like architect houses, but like Henry Barnum Poor has one. I think it's in Pennsylvania, and I don't think it's open. But there's a couple of other artists from like the 20s. I don't know, there's like, maybe this was the 40s. Let's see. Okay, 1930s, 1940s. He had this house called Crow House, and he like DIY'd the whole thing. And that's like a secret dream of mine, is to spend like 10 years working on a house as a whole project and like building it. It really is so cool. So anyway, I found that actually like books with like plates of his work are hard to come by. Oh, also he did ceramics, which he painted a lot, but he also did ceramics. Let me see if I can find something in here. Yeah, illustrated ceramics. Are you sensing a theme? Yeah, his work is really beautiful. He did a plate of Carson McCullers. That's so cool. Like all these cool people hung out together. Anyway, this book rules. I got it on Thrift Books. I don't know. I find like sometimes when I read about artists that I'm interested in, it's too granular and it's like a little bit boring. Like I don't really, like I got a book on Yves Klein and I'm like, do I really need like 200 pages about his childhood? Like I'm definitely more interested right now in like surveys, and then deep dives can come later, but I'm just like so interested in so many different things. Do you ever feel like that? And like there won't be enough time to see everything? Whoa, look at this tile fireplace he did. Can you see that? I'll put these up on the screen better. Okay. Yeah, so those are some things I've been thinking about. And then I'm working on this workshop. I'm also working on this lamp that I've been posting a lot about on Instagram of me like watching movies. And it's really been such a pleasure. Like today I'm not even supposed to be working on it, but I've spent the whole afternoon working on it. And it's just like a fun puzzle to figure out in terms of like the technical side of it and also the visual side of it, or like the way it looks and like composition. I don't usually work in 3D, but I started to a little bit more, and so it's been so great to like push myself in that way. And yeah, so I'm making this lamp of me on the sofa, and I was gonna, she's supposed to be watching TV, but I thought if I put a TV on it or in the piece, I'm worried that it'll block the viewer from being able to engage with it or like see her face. And then I had this thought that it's kind of funny if she's like eating popcorn and like the TV is implied, but she's actually like watching us. But then that gives it an element that I really don't want it to have. I want it to be cozy. Like I don't want it to be like, who's watching who? So we'll see how that turns out. Right now I'm building the mechanism that the lamp will, like the wiring for the lamp will go through. So it's gonna be on the side table there's gonna be a side table with a little lamp and then a bigger, there's like a ceramic column where the wiring will go up and through. That's just sort of how I've been building them lately. I also have another lamp I should finish, but I'm working towards a show in May at Watsa here in Chicago, and I do think that I want to have a lot of sculpture, and this show is called Girls Getting Haircuts to Feel Better, and it's really just about like sort of like banal, mundane, but still like cozy and pleasurable moments throughout the day, like the things you do to like feel better that are kind of part of your routine but also so necessary. And like the more that we sink into our phones, I feel like the more detached we are from these things. So that's kind of where I'm going. So I just started building this sculpture, and then I think I'm gonna start building another one and just like kind of keep this flow. And then I'll also probably have functional pottery in the show as well. And I'm hoping to slipcast a special edition that will be released with the show of mugs that will be like hyper functional and cheaper than my usual mugs. Hopefully, we'll see, depending on how much this is all gonna cost. But I do want to explore playing with like souvenirs in terms of the show. Like, this is like a special takeaway. I've always liked that, like a limited edition that's like connected with this experience of being at the show. And then I was talking to Hannah, one of the owners of the gallery, and we were talking about like how to activate the space more. So we're thinking about some fun things to do, like programming, like maybe have like bang trims one day in the gallery because it's called Girls Getting Haircuts to Feel Better. Or now I'm thinking like it'd be fun to have like a dinner maybe in the gallery, because I've been watching a lot of like dinner party content on Instagram, and I think it'd be fun. I don't know, just talking about this is giving me some ideas. So that's been like the main focus. The show is in May, so I have all of, it's mid-January right now, so I have all of February, March, and April. That's 3 months, but like January's already gone by so quickly, so I really need to get moving on this work and prioritize it. And I'm so excited about this piece, and it's like giving me momentum to like want to keep going. So that's basically it. That's what I've been thinking about, what I've been working on, and what's been inspiring me. I feel like that's mostly it. The other thing that is inspiring me is I watched this lecture on Rousseau that the Barnes Foundation has on YouTube. They actually have a lot of really good YouTube videos, and they have a lot of cool online classes. I was reading a little bit about Neo-Impressionism and like trying to understand what the difference between Impressionism and Neo-Impressionism was, and that led me down like an internet rabbit hole to a Good Survey YouTube video that gave me this whole new appreciation for Seurat, who I've never cared about at all. Like, there's this famous painting of his at the Art Institute that everyone loves, and I've like never felt a connection to it. But I just watched this YouTube video that talked about his work in general, but also that painting, and now I'm like, oh my God, I have to go see this painting in person immediately. So I'm gonna hopefully go do that soon. And then anyway, that video led me to want to learn a bit more about Seurat. So I watched this other lecture that the Barnes Foundation had that was so good about a series of his water or coast paintings in this town. I can't remember the name, but he exhibited a series of like 7 paintings all together of the same port or the same jetty on the coast of France. And it's sort of this, the lecturer was talking about how, and argues that like the mode of making the work, which for him would have been like walking around and like ambling about this vista and taking it in from all these different angles, like we must not separate that mode of making and like observing from the actual pieces, and that it's super intentional, that like we're supposed to think about how it was made and the process of making, and how that's kind of a commentary on what a lot of the Neo-Impressionists were talking about at the time, which were like this like divorce of production, or divorce, like industrialization at the time was like, you know, causing this divorce between maker and object, and like producer and producee. And then that also created a distance between user and object, which is something I think about all the time as like a person who's engaged with ceramics and craft and materiality. So that, wait, so what was the connection? Hold on, I was talking to Eric about this last night and I lost the train. So the boat, why did the boats have to do with that? And why did, I can't really remember. Oh, okay, because like we're encouraged to, because there's so many different vantage points of the same space, it forces us to think about how it was made and how Seurat took in the same space by like walking and ambling and sort of, she's like talking about how like promenades and like strolling was really new, like having like leisure time was new because of the Industrial Revolution. And so like the way people started to spend their leisure time, which is a lot of the subject of a lot of neo-impressionist paintings, which is another whole interesting thing. But a lot of people were starting to like amble about and stroll. And I've been thinking a bit about walking and art and like the combination of the two. And there's an artist whose work is only walking. Like the walking, it's like a performance artist, I think. I don't even know how you would classify it, but anyway. So it just made me think of that. And so I've been feeling inspired. And then also to think about presentation and how all of these things are going together, and looking at other, the way that people display their art, you know, just going to galleries and seeing stuff, but also like looking at photos of the way that Seurat had intended for his work to be displayed. And then he did this other painting where the painting I was telling you that I didn't really care about, but now I want to, is called like La Grangette. I can't remember, but he has a painting that the Barnes Foundation has of, it is so cool, where you can see that painting. You can see, it's a painting of his painting. You can see half the painting. And the painting is called Les Poseurs. And it's a woman who's posing for him, but it's like her in 3 different vantages of her getting undressed, posing, and then getting dressed back up. And it's like kind of this like comic in one painting. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. So anyway, it's getting me really jazzed to go to the Art Institute. And also, I will be going ice fishing. That is in the works. I'm like booking that right now. So lots of stuff to look forward to. My advice to you, because of the weather and the state of America, is do as much as you can to have fun and be engaging with things that are not our phones or computers. I say from a computer video. But anyway, okay, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.